Yo, what's up? How you guys doing? You guys like what I did with the Adult Swim bump right there? Pretty cool, right? Wait a second. Isn't that the name of the show? I think most of us that grew up throughout the early 2000s to the late 2010s have somewhat of a semblance of what Adult Swim is. Am I right? I mean, I'd even go as far to say that Adult Swim is the reason that some of you even got into anime in the first place. Maybe the first anime you ever saw was King of the Hill. Maybe it was Cowboy Bebop. Maybe even Bleach. But if you're here, I'd beg to differ. Fooly Cooly was the first, if not one of the first ones. When I first saw Fooly Cooly, I was a young boy, around 8-ish. And to be honest with you, looking back at it right now, I definitely should not have been watching this show when I was 8. I mean, dude, I just rewatched it the other day to refresh my memory for this video, and I couldn't believe the amount of hidden sexual innuendos that completely flew over my head when I was younger.
Hey, I didn't know boys felt like this inside. Ah, don't touch me there from behind.
I'm back. Rub?
Hey, welcome home now, Tukon. Dinner will be ready soon, okay? Hey. Here's my weapon, it's all for you! I'm leaving the rest to you, TV boy!
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
I mean, in no dimension should I have been watching this show at such a young age. And I mean, you got stuff like this going on, I don't even know how I didn't catch it. And you know, even though most of that stuff went over my head as a kid, it didn't really stop the show from having a lasting impact on my life, whether that be my relationships, or my interests, or my life as a whole. Look, I'm going to tell you straight up, there's going to be spoilers for Fooly Cooly throughout the entirety of the rest of this video. So, if you haven't watched it already for some unbeknownst reason to me, it's free on Adult Swim, 6 episodes, all totaling under 2.5 hours. Just promise me you'll come back. I need the watch time. Please come back, okay? And once you come back, everything I'm talking about is going to make sense, okay? Cool. So, I've watched this show about 4 times now, and there's no way I can recall back to what I was thinking when I originally watched Fooly Cooly when I was 8. But I can pinpoint one state of being, and that is absolutely how confused I was from the very beginning. I mean, dude, I think I must have been in a constant state of bewilderment as I was watching this show. I mean, growing up in 2008, I had nothing like this, bro. I was watching, like, maybe Dora, SpongeBob, Chowder, Flapjack, Naruto. I mean, some of these were kind of confusing, but nothing to this sort, all right? Like, this show is about a magical alien lady that is said to be 19, debatable, that is basically manipulating a 12-year-old into unleashing her arch nemesis soon-to-turn hubby. How do you expect an 8-year-old to understand that dynamic between Haruko and Takun? Maybe this is just my autismo brain speaking up, but I don't even think I knew what a girl was when I was 8 years old. So imagine me, a little 8-year-old, getting bombarded by all the female characters in this show that are massively over-sexualized. Like, was I supposed to understand that every time this kid got flustered, a big old stick was sprout out of his head and he'd have to use that to fight sexual beings? How am I supposed to understand when Haruko turned Takun's dad into a raisin and cut off his head? How am I supposed to understand the underlying trauma that Mamimi has that allegedly caused her to burn down her preschool? Like, I genuinely don't think any kid would understand this show at such a young age. And honestly, you know what? I think with this show, the amount of confusion that I felt because of it is the sole reason why I like shows to confuse me so much, just like this did. Oh, and I can't forget to mention, this show was designed to be like that. And you know what? Looking back at it right now, I'm glad that it was made that way. You know, Fooly Cooly really set down the foundation for me to enjoy things like 2001: A Space Odyssey, A Clockwork Orange, Blade Runner. And you know what? Callback, Filthy Frank, dude. Filthy Frank is literally the epitome of what this is. And you know, the more that you watch the show and the more that you go into it knowing that it's supposed to be confusing, it kind of takes away from that confusing aspect of it, but it doesn't take away from the enjoyment factor at all. And my taste in media wasn't the only thing influenced by this show. I think it's about time I talk about the elephant in the room, the relationships. The relationships in this show hit so close to home, having sat down to watch it and fully embracing it at age 22. And I just gotta say it, throughout my lifetime, I've been heavily interested in older women, and I'm gonna 100% blame it on Fooly Cooly. Like, come on. I think as a younger kid, this show completely flipped the switch for me and made me interested in girls. Like, I can't even imagine someone down in the comments arguing with me that they don't want an older girl like Mamimi to embrace a younger kid like Takun, you being the younger kid. There's no way you wouldn't want that. Or wouldn't you want to date someone that is very, very knowledgeable about everything and can lead you on the correct path, like Haruko? As I was rewatching this, all I could do was smile and laugh and stare, because this wasn't the first time that I had to wish that I was Takun. I know with 100% certainty that I felt that way when I was younger. I'd even go as far to say that I was jealous. I'm not gonna lie, I really, really like Mamimi, and I can 100% see her in the kind of chicks that I used to date, because boy, were they going through some stuff. And who wouldn't want a goofy ass girlfriend like Haruko? The relationships in this show just show you that nothing is meant to last. Nothing is going to work out, no matter how good it's going. And look, maybe that's an overgeneralization about the relationships, the theme of relationships in this show, but I'm not going to sit here and do a full psychoanalysis on every single woman in Fully Cooley. This video is supposed to be about what I enjoyed about the show, not like in-depth analyses. And I'm just going to leave it at this. I would 100% date Mamimi, okay? And you know what? Speaking of Haruko's goofiness, how can I forget my favorite aspect of the show? The goofiness. It is so fucking funny to watch. Every single episode out of these 6 are filled with so many memorable moments. The way that the animation styles switch up is so fucking incredible, and it's so funny every single time it does it because it's so unique. For example, I love the dynamic between Haruko and Takun's cat, or the fact that the investigator is jealous of Takun's bigger guitar. And I just love the role that Kanti has, because he's partially a maid and he's also partially like the main superhero of the entire series. And you know, touching back on the sexual bits, I think they're a little overplayed, but that's just the charm of Fully Cooley. Like, they literally used the term Fully Cooley as a sort of sexual innuendo.
Sinking her fangs into you, Nauta! Fondling around, Fully Cooley!
I love the fourth wall breaks. That's what kind of reminded me of Chowder. And above all, I love Amaro. He reminds me so much of Arasaka from Mob Psycho. And I mean, dude, I don't know if you can tell, but I just love the entire vibe of this show. And the only complaint that I really have about this show is that it's only 6 episodes long, but that's just enough to get you to feel connected to all of its characters. And unfortunately, if you're like me, you get really, really emotionally connected, and then when it's over, you get really sad. And look, Fully Cooley isn't just one big jumble of goofy scenes and goofy characters. The underlying meanings in this show are just hidden enough to make you look between the lines. And once you do, you're just going to be left in the state of happiness and love for this stupid fucking show. Thanks.